Hello everybody, welcome back to Hidden Harvest with Liz. My name is Liz and we are in Middle Georgia, and I am here today to talk about, well, where I've been. I have actually been sitting here for like an hour talking to the camera and realized I wasn't recording. So that's where I've been for the last hour. But where I've been for the last few months is trying to recover from the gardening season this year. For those of you who've been here since this channel started, you know that this year I did a huge expansion on my garden. I went from having a tiny little garden to having a very massive 12-bed garden that are 8x10s with a lot of different stuff. And we also got chickens, which I did show during my video. I showed me making them a snack. The video that I didn't record, I'll have to show that again in another video. They've almost finished their snack, so there's really no point in me going over there now. It was my bribe for trying to keep them quiet. I'll show you guys in another video how to make it. But hopefully, everybody had a great holiday. Everybody had a good New Year's. This should be coming out right around New Year's. My New Year's resolution for this year in this garden is going to be being better about recording and planning out my recordings. I did not do a whole lot of planning, especially towards the end of the year when everything got so hectic, so hot, so exhausting. I was not prepared for the challenge that the garden created this past year. It was amazing and it was an exhausting experience all at the same time. I really could not even put into words the things that I experienced, the things that I learned. It was a long process, and towards the end, I'll admit, there was times I barely made myself go outside, much less grab a camera, make sure everything was charged, make sure everything's plugged in, remember to turn on the recording, because that's probably happened 4 or 5 times that I've come out here and recorded something and realized I never started the record. But that happens. Some of the major things that I learned this fall is, first off, I have to start my fall garden a whole lot sooner, and I did not do it again this year. I put a lot of stuff straight into the ground and let them come up whenever they felt like coming up, and some did not. I had to replant 3 or 4 times because it was just too hot. It really didn't cool down until like very end of November here, and I think that was pretty much across the board. Most of the channels that I watched, they had a very odd end of the season. Like there was a freeze and then it warmed up for several weeks, thereby potentially causing some of their fall crops to go to seed when they weren't expecting it to, and then suddenly freeze hit, and that was what happened there. It's basically what happened here. Right now in the garden I have got 2 beds of onions. It was only supposed to be the 1 bed, 50 per type. I had some red onions that I was actually able to sprout because they showed up, the others did not. I was assuming maybe the onion, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the onion seed doesn't last as long. So I was kind of surprised that the red onions came up. So I ordered some sweet onions. I've got 2 beds instead of 1 bed. It's fine, I'll figure out how to use them. Thankfully, whenever they sent me the yellow onions, I was able to offload 50 of those because I did not have room for 100. They sent me 100. So I've got a lot of other stuff back behind me. It's mostly lettuces, collards, mustard. Sadly, I didn't get anything in enough time for it to really get going, but I can say that I find the arugula interesting. The arugula is actually doing very well. It's not taking a whole lot of energy, and it's going very, very well. It's going very well. The rest of the stuff is not really doing all that great as far as size goes. Come springtime, they'll spring up and get going. One of my biggest problems is as soon as fall hits, and you see these treetops that are right back behind me, most of the garden is in the shade early spring. Early spring and late fall. Most of the garden is in the shade most of the time. It would be cool if the garden was in the shade mid-time in the summertime. That would be kind of amazing because the crops would probably fare better, but it's at an unusual time, and I was not actually... I understood in the springtime that it would be kind of shaded out. I did not realize in the fall time the sun would sink faster than the trees would lose their leaves. So there is that, and I probably should have planted way sooner. But I also did a very good job of making sure I had collard greens this year, mustard greens this year. My garlic is already in the ground, my onions are planted, and I have gone through a couple of batches of lettuce and stuff like that for my chickens, because they seem to enjoy lettuce a whole lot more during the fall than we do. Not a huge fan of tomato-less salads, I'll be honest with you. I'm not really sure why we grow lettuce then, other than maybe because you could put other greens in along with it, but I'm just not a huge fan. I like collard greens, I like the mustards, I like the the arugula. And of course, since I didn't get my broccoli or my cauliflower barely sprouted in enough time. And it's still inside. I have to get it acclimated to outside and get it in the ground during the next warm-up session. We're actually in a warm-up right now, but it's not going to be long enough for me to get the the cauliflower in the ground, sadly. But I did not get any of that stuff in to actually get a sprout to happen like in January or something like that. This is wind up being my spring garden here because I got it in so late. But I have my carrots. My carrots are growing. I have a second bed of carrots that didn't get very far before it got cold. Those might come up and actually start doing something during the springtime. And I got a lot of things moved over, changed over, so as spring starts bringing everything back to life, I'll be able to show you guys. I got certain plants divided out and moved over to a better location. I got certain perennials moved out of my main beds and into other areas so they could be perennials and not be in the way. A lot of stuff has been going on. Sadly, today I don't necessarily have time to show everything that is going on, and it's actually kind of okay, because maybe if I don't show everything in one video, I'm more inclined to come back and show you guys other areas of interest. So maybe instead of doing one full garden tour, I'll show you like one section of the garden and talk about a particular subject, and then show another section of the garden in another video and talk about another subject, instead of trying to info bomb you guys with all of the things that are going all over the yard. That way I can probably spend a little bit more time focusing in on the things that I'm learning with the different things that I am doing. Because there's one thing that I have definitely learned this year, and by watching a whole lot of people, is gardening is all about experimenting, figuring out what does and does not work, and making modifications for the next year. My major modification, irrigation, because this is way too much for me to keep track of. Even coming out here several times a week and watering the garden for 2 hours was not enough. It was certain plants were getting enough water, certain plants were not getting enough water, and all in all I was just not able to keep up with it. So that's definitely one major lesson I learned last year, and one I plan to rectify this year, and I've already started ordering the stuff, and hopefully we can do a video over installing the irrigation system. So whenever we do that, I hope to bring you guys back for another video, but mainly this video is just to let you guys know I am still here. I took a bit of a vacation during the fall time after I got everything in and get it settled. I was like, okay, I'm just going to walk away, and I actually did some canning and preserving with the things that I froze, so that's been enjoyable. Hopefully in the next couple of years I'll be able to do something about the situation where I can't really show you guys the canning process, and my kitchen's kind of a mess. And not a mess in the conventional sense, but just trust me on this, it's like Fallout 4 mess. Don't even worry about it. But during this time, I'll be able to learn how to do the things that I'm going to be showing you guys later on. And hopefully, the later on part does actually happen. So, yeah. I do apologize for my not being around, but I hope, as one of my other New Year's resolutions, maybe, is to try and be more conscientious and at least do one video a week, so that I can give you guys updates on the things that I'm thinking about and taking notes of the things that I am learning, and to be a better note taker, because as soon as I started planting in the summertime, my notes completely stopped. I have no notes to go off of for summer. All I've got are the few videos that I managed to shoot. So yeah, I guess I will see you guys in the next one. I hope this is the first of very many. My next video should hopefully, if I'm timing this out correctly, should be my seed haul. I have one batch of seeds in. I need to order another batch of seeds, and that will be towards the beginning of January. And hopefully it won't take more than a couple of weeks for those guys to come in. So I might actually have time to do another video. What could I do that video over? I have no idea. I'll think on that. I will see you guys next time. You have a wonderful day, and you stay shiny. Bye!